on Sun Valley. Daily local news from beautiful Sun Valley, Idaho.
Hi everybody, it's Bryant Dunn from Sun Valley Outfitters with another episode of Sun Valley Today here on Eye on Sun Valley. Well, the snow gods have been good to us recently with a ton of snow falling on our valley, making for some great skiing and riding on Bald and Dollar Mountains. And the weather forecasters say there's more on the way, so it's going to continue to improve, and it's already great. Hey, but besides skiing and riding, there's a lot going on in the Wood River Valley this week, including some amazing theater, a film festival, sports and races. So let's get to that right now here on Sun Valley Today. In the upcoming week, Wood River Valley events include Friday and Saturday nights, January 17th and 18th. Come cheer on the Sun Valley Suns men's hockey team at Campion Ice House in Haley as the local boys take on their annual New England rivals, the Gutter Snipes. This contest always promises to be a blast, and there just might be an NHL Hall of Famer on the rink as well. You'll have to attend to see what I mean. Also on Friday and Saturday, the 7th annual Baldy Bank Slalom will be held on Bald Mountain at the top of Warm Springs. Practice runs take place on Friday with the competition going on Saturday. Registration is at Warm Springs Lodge Saturday morning from 8 to 9 a.m. and the entry fee is $48 per athlete, which includes an event t-shirt from Press Print House. Even if you're not competing, go check out the action and cheer those competitors on. And on Thursday, January 23rd at the Liberty Theater in Haley, check out the performance, The Night Thoreau Spent in Jail. In 1846, the essayist, philosopher, abolitionist, and naturalist Henry David Thoreau spent a night in jail after refusing to pay tax money that would support the war President Polk single-handedly waged against Mexico. While the play offers insight into the man and his meditations, his transcendentalist worldview, his witty disregard for organized religion, and his penchant for nature and civil disobedience, it also concerns itself with what weighs heavily in our own politics today. This production begins at 7 p.m. and tickets are free, though a $10 donation is suggested and advanced seat reservations are recommended. And Friday, January 24th, make sure not to miss the International Fly Fishing Film Festival at the Argyros Performing Arts Center. Doors open at 5 p.m. and the films begin at 6:30. There will be beverages available, of course, and a great raffle. So all of you anglers out there, make sure to grab your tickets in advance at Silver Creek Outfitters, Lost River Outfitters, Trout Unlimited headquarters in Haley, or of course at Sun Valley Outfitters in Ketchum. I will definitely see you there. You know, Sun Valley Outfitters is Sun Valley's only full-service outfitter, offering daily fly fishing trips year-round, in addition to our summertime offerings of daily horseback rides and day hikes, big game and bird hunting, international angling services, and kids' adventure camps and fly fishing camps. Sun Valley Outfitters is located on Sun Valley Road in Ketchum, next to Starbucks. So the next time you're up north, come pay us a visit. Or visit us online at sunvalleyoutfitters.com or give us a call at 208-928-SVID. That's 208-928-7843. Well, here's to looking at another exciting and action-packed week in the Wood River Valley. And thanks so much for joining me here on Sun Valley Today on Eye on Sun Valley. And I look forward to seeing you around this beautiful valley.
Cabanita Mex, dubbed by the locals as authentic, tasty Mexican food and drinks with a festive atmosphere. And a pretty darn good sports bar too. Big screens all over. La Cabanita prides itself on their authentica cocina mexicana. Good food, very fast service, and delicious house recipes. Those special Mexican spices. La Cabanita Mex, serving lunches, dinners, catering, company parties, and takeout. Ketchum and Bellevue. La Cabanita.
So we're mods. We have coffee, we have pastries, we have clothing. We sell it all. We have a range of vintage clothing, high-end women's and everyday wear, ranging from Pendleton to fancy going-out dresses. Some clothing even dating back to the 20s.
Hi, I'm Jacob. My wife Tara and I are the owners of Mods. We're both a coffee shop and a clothing store. We use Harrison Insurance for everything. Business, auto, renters, even our little dog is insured.
The nuances of our unique business are covered with Harrison, and I don't think that I could have obtained that going to a big insurance company directly.
We feel that if something were to happen tomorrow, we'd be okay because we have Harrison Insurance to help us.
Harrison Insurance, for all of your insurance needs.
My name is Keith Perry, and my wife Paula and I are the owners of Perry's Restaurant, operating here since 1985, and we've grown to become a local institution here.
We make almost everything from scratch, including all our muffins, our cookies, our salad dressings. Everything is made to order.
Perry's is open daily at 7 a.m., serving hearty breakfasts, and lunchtime made-to-order sandwiches, soups, and salads, and premium beer and wine.
Hi, I'm Karen Bosick with Ion Sun Valley. I'm here today with John Landine, who is an attorney by trade, but in the last several years, John has become very much a historian, delving into every nook and cranny of Sun Valley. In fact, John just recently published his award-winning Early Skiing on Snoqualmie Pass, which I understand is the bestseller at Chapter 1 bookstore in Ketchum because of all the Seattle people buying it. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about a very interesting part of Sun Valley's beginnings. We've all heard the name Averill Harriman, the Union Pacific man who basically started Sun Valley Resort, Count Felix Schotch, who helped him find the right place for the Sun Valley Resort. But John contends there's another couple who, without them, Sun Valley would have never happened. Who are those people, John?
Well, Karen, that would be Robert Strahorn and his wife, Carrie Dale Strahorn. And the theme of my talk that I'll be giving at the Haley Library in July will be that there are two people, as you say, responsible for Sun Valley being here. One was Averill Harriman, who was chairman of the board of Union Pacific Railroad, and in 1936 built Sun Valley not as a standalone ski resort, but as an adjunct of the railroad to try to rebuild the passenger business that had been decimated by the Depression. And of course, one of the criteria when he sent the Count out to scout for locations, it had to be served by Union Pacific. So the person who was responsible for bringing the Union Pacific Railroad in here in 1883 was Robert Strahorn and his wife. They were.
That's a good 50 years ahead of the time Sun Valley Resort was built.
Well, many, many years. And of course, the attraction in those days was the Silver Strike. And Strahorn has a very interesting background. He was born in Pennsylvania, trained as a typesetter to work in the newspaper and publication business. Was in bad health, so he came west for a better climate. Ended up, he probably had tuberculosis, and worked in Denver, and then became a roving reporter associated with General Crooks during the Sioux Wars of 1876. And he was a journalist embedded with General Crooks, his cavalry unit, and they had the rather disgraceful job of trying to round up the Sioux Indian people who were in the area that was given to them by the federal government by the Treaty of 1868. But once gold was found in the Black Hills of Dakota, the federal government reneged on its promise, and they were rounding up all the free Sioux to put them in reservations. And the ones that didn't want to go, they were attacked by General Crooks, usually in the morning. He would ride into their encampments and start killing people right and left, men, women, children. And that was an unfortunate part of our history. But Strahorn was there as a journalist and covered it and made quite a national reputation. He was reporting for newspapers in Chicago and New York and other places. And because of that work, he became well known in Wyoming. He started out, his first publication was basically the economic potential of the territory of Wyoming. And in the middle of all this, he met this very interesting woman from Chicago, the Chicago area, and fell in love with her. They had a long-distance relationship, and she was quite enamored with this Indian fighter and journalist. She was a graduate of the University of Michigan, a very cultured person, came from a wealthy family. Her father was a doctor, and there were not many women who were college educated in those days, but she was one of them. And on his way to Chicago from Wyoming, he had been offered the job of a territorial secretary for the territory of Wyoming. And he met the ticket agent for the Union Pacific Railroad on his way back, showed him his first book on the economic potential of Wyoming. The ticket agent contacted people higher up in Union Pacific, particularly Jay Gould, who was an outside financier but controlled Union Pacific in those days. And Gould,
kind of a robber baron.
He was known as the classic robber baron, and he did all the illegal things that people developing railroads did in those days. It's a fascinating history. But Gould had his eye on the West. Ever since the Transcontinental Railroad was finished in 1869, Union Pacific wanted a connection to the Northwest. Trade was booming, the Willamette Valley was booming, Puget Sound was booming, and Northern Pacific was building a route from the Midwest out to Puget Sound. And he knew if Northern Pacific got there first, they would take a lot of the economy away from Union Pacific. So he had his eye on Western expansion. The first thing he did in 1878 was to buy from the Mormons what was called the Utah Northern Railroad. That went from Ogden up to Franklin, Idaho, which was in southeastern Idaho. When that was built, Brigham Young thought it was actually in Utah. That's why he built it there. But it went bankrupt in the 1870s. And the electrical era was just coming in. Edison was inventing his light bulbs and everything else. And they had just discovered copper in Butte, Montana. So Gould bought Utah Northern and finished it from Franklin, Idaho up to Butte. And that gave him access to all the copper from Butte that was a critical part of the electrical age that was just coming.
Okay. We're going to have to take a break. We'll be right back.
No matter your taste or personal style, the shopping in Sun Valley has what you need for a day in the mountains or elegant night on the town. From bike sales, rentals, repair, outdoor accessories, and souvenirs to high-end, on-trend fashion and sportwear, including a hip, modern women's boutique, there is something for everyone in the Sun Valley Village. Don't forget about the kids, as stepping foot in the toy store is a dream come true for the little ones. The Sun Valley Village shopping options blend a touch of European style with Main Street USA hospitality, all in a charming mountain town setting.
Better food, better price, better service. Atkinson's Market, supporting local farmers since 1956.
Edge Event Productions proudly provides audio and visual solutions for your private party or event, your wedding or special banquet. With top quality audio and lighting, you won't regret choosing Edge. They'll simply custom and create an event design suitable for your party, your budget, and work with you through the entire process. Their stage production services are guaranteed to help make your event a success. With powerful, crystal clear sound and years of mixing experience, they're an ideal choice for this community, whether it's a band, a DJ, a big event promoter to host a large event either indoors or outdoors. Lighting and sound are so important to a party. Take your party to the next level with Edge Event Productions. Reach out to Andy at edgeeventproductions.com. That's Andy at edgeeventproductions.com.
The benefits that we see, some come right away. It's a full body experience, right? So we're treating the whole body. And like I say, whether I'm treating your toe or your brain, I'm treating the whole body. So every organ now, every cell in your body has enough oxygen to create the correct amount of energy and to fire and function properly.
Welcome back. We're learning the story of how Sun Valley came to be. So how did Robert Strahorn figure into all of this?
Well, Karen, the next thing that Jay Gould did, he really wanted to build his Northwest connection from the main line of Union Pacific to Portland. He knew there was huge economic potential out there, and he wanted to jump the gun on the Northern Pacific. So he hired Robert Strahorn, literally on the train on his way to get married, and hired him as a publicist for the Union Pacific Railroad. And he hired him, he and his wife, to tour the Northwest, to write stories about the economic potential. He wrote a whole series of promotional materials on several states, including Idaho, showing the mining, agriculture, timber, and huge potential. And he and Carrie Adele, starting in 1877, traveled throughout the West Coast, mainly in the Northwest. And their job was twofold. One, to create publicity for the economic potential there, and secondly, to scout out the best route for the railroad. And they did that. And Robert spent his time writing these rather dry economic analysis of the area. But Carrie Adele, who was quite well educated and a wonderful writer, she wrote a series of articles for women's magazines in the Midwest and East. And she gave the personal side of what life was like in the Northwest in those days, what it was like to travel by stagecoach, enduring all the hardships. And there wasn't much out here in those days. It was beyond some mining and initial agriculture. It was a barren country.
I'm surprised people allowed her to accompany her husband by stagecoach.
Well, initially, Union Pacific didn't want her to go. They thought that she was too cultured a woman to go on a trip like this, and they thought it was far too dangerous. But Robert put his foot down and said, if my wife doesn't come, I don't go. So they relented. They gave both of them passes so they could travel for free anywhere the railroad went.
And what were a couple of the adventures they had traveling by stagecoach?
Well, they had many, many adventures, from potential Indian attacks to runaway stagecoaches to riding on the front of a railroad train, an engine of pulling a train, going over the largest railroad bridge in the West. And they're riding on the cowcatcher because Robert thought that would be an interesting thing to do. They went down into mines, several thousand feet down below the surface. So they did it all. Everything that was happening in the West, they did.
And she went right alongside him.
She was right alongside him. She called him Pard for partner. And their whole relationship was a partnership. And they saw it all together. And I might mention that she wrote one of the best books about early life in the West. It's called 15,000 Miles by Stage. It was published in 1911 and became an immediate bestseller and is terrific. There's some wonderful illustrations there and pictures. And that was republished by the University of Nebraska Press in 1964. So you can actually, the originals are worth quite a bit of money, but you can buy a 2-volume set of paperback on the used book market. And I certainly recommend it for all people who are interested in Idaho history and early Western history.
Okay. So tell me more about their connection to Haley, Sun Valley.
Well, they fell in love with the Wood River Valley. They came here several times, and they were here when silver was first discovered. And they saw that the Wood River Valley, that was the largest silver strike in the 1880s. It happened actually in 1880. But it ultimately became the largest silver producing area in the country in the 1880s. And transportation was a critical thing for all mining areas. And Robert decided that he wanted to push Union Pacific to build a branch in here. In 1881, Jay Gould had decided to actually go ahead and build his connection to Portland, and they couldn't actually build it under the original charter that Union Pacific got in 1862 from Congress. So they had to incorporate a subsidiary, which they did in Wyoming, and its job was to build the shortest route to Oregon, so it was called the Oregon Short Line. And they started in 1881 from Granger, Wyoming, which is on the main line, started building west toward Portland. And Strahorn, one of his great contributions was to convince Gould to build a spur line in here. So in 1882, when the railroad reached Shoshone, they started building in here and put resources that would otherwise push it to the west to build it in here. And it transformed the Wood River Valley when it came here. It opened Wood River Valley to the outside world. It made transportation quick and cheap. It brought in large amounts of outside capital and caused a huge economic boom here in the Wood River Valley.
Okay. I want to hear more, but we got to take a break right now. We'll be back.
I remember going to the doctor when I was a kid. He knew me, I knew him. It was really simple. And then medicine changed with more expensive labs, medications, bigger clinics, and not enough time to explain it all.
Direct primary care came along, outside the insurance system and affordable. I'm Dr. Tom Archie. At InnerHealth MD, we spend the time we need building collaborative relationships. We bypass the insurance, lab, and pharmaceutical industries and pass on the savings to our patients. At our office, common labs can cost $5 to $10, and in our pharmacy, generic prescriptions often cost less than $5. Our family practice treats fractures, lacerations, and sports injuries, teaches prevention, and coordinates acute and chronic care. We don't accept insurance. Our patients pay a monthly fee that is less than a cable bill. With acupuncture, herbs, class 4 cold laser, and a holistic, functional medicine approach, InnerHealth MD is family medicine like it used to be, affordable, personal, and looking to the future.
Welcome to Pure Body Bliss, your home in Haley for extraordinary movement training. Pilates, yoga, and fusion classes, as well as incredible massage. We specialize in private and semi-private sessions, dynamic group classes, and exceptional massage techniques to both realign and relax. At Pure Body Bliss, we have something for everyone, including restorative yoga, core-focused Pilates, and our studio-exclusive high-intensity burn classes, just to name a few. All taught by patient and highly educated professionals with thousands of hours of teaching experience. Have fun, work hard, sweat, then relax, restore, and rejuvenate, all in one beautiful setting. Solidify your resolutions with our complete unlimited membership. At Pure Body Bliss, we love your body.
Family heritage, quite frankly, it's made us who we are today. We are proud to be Idahoan and proud to be an American. Back to the 1800s, our Idahoan generations would agree. It's been quite an exploration, a real adventure for our families. Farming, cattle ranching, serving the armed forces. We believe every generation should strive for betterment. From our family to yours, dig deep into your heritage. Explore it, live it, learn from it, pass it on. Audio Innovations is an innovative audio-visual company that designs, integrates, and simplifies a truly custom system to keep you comfortable, entertained, and secure in your own home. Audio Innovations TJ's Electric offers a variety of services, from phone systems to lighting control systems, HVAC systems, home theater, electrical, audio, and video, drapery systems, and more. Audio Innovations, 91 East Croy Street, Alturas Plaza, in Haley.
Sterling Urgent Care is now open at 507 South Main Street in Haley. Sterling Urgent Care is helping create a better healthcare experience. All patients are welcome. They accept most major insurances, including Medicare and Medicaid. They also accept self-pay patients and offer a membership program to help you take control of your healthcare costs. Sterling Urgent Care invites you to visit them at their beautiful new facility in Haley. Or learn more at sterlingurgentcare.com. Healthcare created with you in mind.
Better food, better price, better service. Atkinson's Market, supporting local farmers since 1956.
Thank you for joining us again. We just heard how Robert Strahorn was responsible for getting the spur line that would ultimately allow Averell Harriman to build Sun Valley Resort in 1936. What else did Robert Strahorn do for the Wood River Valley?
Well, Karen, he has a very interesting and mixed history. The major thing he did next was he and some other Union Pacific insiders formed a company called the Idaho and Oregon Land Improvement Company. They knew the route that the Union Pacific would follow, the Oregon Shortline, and they knew where the stops would be. So they bought, among other things, worthless desert land, knowing there'd be a stop there, basically for nothing. Then they would plant cities, build infrastructure, and make enormous profits selling the money to settlers who came. As part of that, knowing that the Union Pacific was going to come in here, his company bought the town site of Shoshone and the town site of Haley. Now, Haley had been formed by John Haley earlier under the Desert Land Act, but he had gotten a patent or title to the land. So Strahorn's company bought it from Haley and his associates and basically built Haley into the town it is. He brought irrigation land to irrigate the area around it. He brought water into the land, and he basically built the company. He helped build the first electrical system there, helped build the Alturas Hotel, which is a big place to stay, and the Haley Hot Springs Resort, which is out in Cory Canyon.
The important things.
And the key here is that he brought the railroad in, and Harriman never would have looked at this area except for Strayhorn's railroad that came in. However, there's a twist to that story too, because he owned the town site of Haley. Haley was going to be the terminus of the Wood River branch. And he said that would make Haley the Denver of Idaho. No plans to extend it further north. The problem was for him that the Philadelphia smelter was located north of Ketchum. It smelted virtually all the ore that was mined in the Wood River Valley around here. It was the biggest customer, and it wanted an extension north. So there was a battle, an inside battle between the economic forces of Strayhorn and the Philadelphia smelter. The smelter ultimately won, and in 1884 they extended the line from Haley up here. Although it never was intended to go to Ketchum. The smelter was actually north and outside of the city of Ketchum, but the railroad went right into it.
Now, for those who might not be familiar, the Philadelphia smelter was located near the mouth of what we now call Warm Spring?
Exactly. It was right across from where the YMCA is now. It was on the west side of the river. However, they owned 1,000 acres on the east side of the river where the industrial area is now. And that was actually incorporated into Ketchum in 1884. It's called the Rhodes Edition. And that really gave the full economic boom to the Wood River Valley.
And so the railroad came all the way up to the area around the YMCA.
The depot was just north of where the YMCA is now, in the developed area there.
And that's why we have the beautiful bike path now on the railroad line.
Exactly. And Strayhorn went on to develop a lot of other cities and towns in Idaho, best known for Caldwell, that was just a total desert, and he built it up himself. And there were 5 or 6 other railroad towns, all on the Oregon Shortline route, for which he's responsible. And again, he was trading on inside information, which would be illegal in these days. But back in the 1880s, there weren't antitrust laws, there were no securities laws, and people could do pretty much what they wanted to, and they did in the railroad industry. And Strayhorn actually left here in 1888 and ventured further out, stayed in the railroad business generally. He first went to Washington when the Northern Pacific was being built, and he thought that the terminus of the Union Pacific would be Fairhaven, Washington, which is right by Bellingham. So he built up, did some land development there and invested a lot of money, but he got fooled because the terminus ended up to be Tacoma, Washington. So he lost a lot of money. And he went to Boston and brokered bonds after that, and then came back to Spokane in the early 1900s. It was a thriving railroad town. There were several railroads going through, including Northern Pacific. Canadian Pacific came down. And he spent the next couple decades of his life developing railroads in Washington and Oregon. And he was financed initially by E.H. Harriman, who, after Union Pacific and all the other railroads went into bankruptcy in the Silver Depression of the 1890s, E.H. Harriman bought Union Pacific out of bankruptcy and rebuilt it, and was Strahorn's financial angel to develop railroads in Washington and Oregon, which he did.
And then Averill came along, and the rest is history.
And the rest is history. When Averill wanted a ski area, the one thing it had to have had to be served by Union Pacific.
Because the idea was
to build
people to use the trains.
The whole idea wasn't to build a ski area, it was to build something that would attract people to take the trains. And if Strahorn had not convinced Union Pacific to build it in here, we wouldn't be sitting here today in Sun Valley, Idaho, talking about this.
All right. Well, that's another story. Thank you so much for joining us, John.
And you will hear that story in my next book that's coming out this fall, which is Sun Valley, Early Years under the Union Pacific Railroad.
We can't wait. Thank you for joining us. I hope you learned a thing or two today. Until the next time, I'm Karen Bosick with Eye on Sun Valley, and I'm keeping my eye on Sun Valley for you.
Hi, I'm Anita Northwood. I live here in the Sun Valley area, and I have been inspired to create Silver Creek Assisted Living for your family. I'm inspired by my family, and we hope you will all come and take a tour of this place and understand that this is the place where your loved one should be. This is what brings us all joy and what we're the best at. Your family is our family, so come join us. Silver Creek Living is a wonderful place. It's not just about compassionate senior care. It is the best place for you to bring your loved one. We provide a beautiful environment where your family is our family. We have great food, fun activities, lots of entertainment. You can socialize with their peers, bring your family, and yet feel that you're in a beautiful, safe environment, while you can still have fun while knowing that you're well taken care of with the best of care. This could be the next best chapter in your family member's life.
I guess I'm one of the younger ones there at the connection. I just love to go listen to their stories. I have a lot of respect for those people, you know, and there's a World War II bomber pilot, artists, construction workers, retired CEOs. One of the guys that sits at our table was an avid motorcycle rider. About 30 years ago, he had a pretty horrific accident. He was in a coma for about a month and hasn't ridden since. Recently, we got him up to the Wagon Days parade. I took him on the parade route, got him in my sidecar. He said that was one of the best days of his life.
No matter your taste or personal style, the shopping in Sun Valley has what you need for a day in the mountains or elegant night on the town. From bike sales, rentals, repair, outdoor accessories, and souvenirs to high-end, on-trend fashion and sportwear, including a hip, modern women's boutique, there is something for everyone in the Sun Valley Village. Don't forget about the kids, as stepping foot in the toy store is a dream come true for the little ones. The Sun Valley Village shopping options blend a touch of European style with Main Street USA hospitality, all in a charming mountain town setting.
Hi, I'm Gary, manager of the Attic Thrift Store in Haley, and today I'm not here to sell you anything or tell you about any great deals at the Attic. We all know the Attic always has great deals. That goes without saying. Instead, the Attic and its staff would like to give a sincere thank you to all its loyal customers and generous donors who help to make a huge impact in our community. How? For those who don't know, the Attic Thrift Store is a nonprofit that exists to help support the advocates whose mission is to teach people of all ages to build and maintain healthy relationships through education, shelter, and support services. With your help, we are making a difference in ending domestic violence and sexual assault. Every day, lives are changed at The Advocates. Please visit our website at www.theadvocatesorg.org. So from all of us, thank you for shopping and donating to The Attic. You're truly...
Are you tired of being tired? Wouldn't you like to have more energy and not be so run down? Hi, I'm Dr. John Calvert with Sun Valley Smile Designs and Dental Sleep Health. That's right, a dentist who treats sleep breathing disorders and sleep apnea. You may be one of the millions of people that suffer from sleep apnea, depriving you of the quality of sleep that you need. You may not be aware of the serious physical problems with untreated sleep apnea. High blood pressure, diabetes, and stroke are just a few. For those of you that have sleep apnea but are just not able to tolerate your CPAP unit, there is help right here in Ketchum. I have over 17 years of advanced training in sleep health, and I can treat your sleep apnea, including annoying snoring, from beginning diagnosis all the way through treatment. No need to travel hours away for overnight sleep studies. I'll provide you with a complimentary, complete computer airway evaluation and consultation. Give my office a call, and I can help you feel more rested and have more energy. Sleep well, live well. Come see us at Sun Valley Smile Designs and Sun Valley Sleep Health.
Hi, I'm Lori McNee with Ion Sun Valley, and this is Art Beat. And this evening, I am sitting here with the author of The Feather Thief, and this is Kirk Wallace Johnson, and the book is about beauty, obsession, and the natural history heist of the century. So that's a mouthful, and quite a telltale thing to say. So I read the book and enjoyed it so much, and it was such a interesting book that took so many curves and twists and turns. How can you tell us in a nutshell what this fascinating story is about?
I mean, astonishingly, this is a story about a young American flute player who broke into the British Museum of Natural History to steal $1 million worth of dead birds that he plucked and sold to this cultish community of Victorian salmon fly tyers who are obsessed with rare feathers. Also that he could buy a golden flute. And the book covers a 5-year investigation where I went all over the world trying to solve the crime of what happened to the stolen birds.
And that is just amazing. And then you discovered this story while you were fishing in New Mexico. And you heard this story and then it just captivated you. How did you go on a quest to learn more to where you almost became obsessed about this story like he was obsessed about feathers?
Yeah, there's no almost about it. I was completely full-blown obsessed. I heard this story while I was waist high in the Red River in northern New Mexico. It was so bizarre as to be captivating. I didn't know anything about this subculture. I didn't know that there were feathers that were worth so much. And I had never written a book before. I just thought that there was something kind of strangely captivating about the story. And so I just started cold calling some of the names that I could find. I started entering these online forums and getting access to private Facebook groups and kind of unwittingly building a trail of evidence, all in search of these missing birds.
And so these are rare feathers is what motivated him to steal these, obviously. And then he was planning to sell them on, it's not even the black market though, is it really?
No, I mean, he sold a lot of these on eBay and through his own private website. But it's a strange thing. There's, for people who know fly fishing and use trout flies, these are just ordinary looking things. But what he was selling these for was this community of men who only want to use these exotic species of birds to tie these 150-year-old recipes, they're called.
Right.
And so these guys are so obsessed with it that they will pay a small fortune to get it. And so Edwin, being one of these fly tyers, when he knew that if he could just steal them from the museum, that he would have a captive marketplace. And I mean, as soon as he pulled it off, he had people flying from all over the world to buy from him.
And how much are they paying for these feathers and for the flies themselves? They sell the flies as well, I imagine.
Some of the species of birds are $10,000 for one bird. I mean, he stole about $1 million worth of rare birds. But most of them, you know, these are not functional flies. They're not, I mean, some of these flies require $2,000 worth of rare feathers. And these guys that spend that money are not going to cast them into the water. There's not a huge marketplace on selling those completed salmon flies. They tend to, it's a kind of it's an obsession with being able to say that you've tied every fly in this particular book, and they keep them in their own.
How do they afford that hobby?
I mean, a lot of them are fairly well-off men. It's almost entirely men that do this, and they, you know, I've been to these fly tying conventions where, you know, they're dropping thousands and thousands of dollars on a bird skin that they've been coveting for a long time, and you know, some of these guys have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars over decades.
That's just incredible.
Yeah.
And these birds were originally collected back in the 1800s by Alfred Russel Wallace,
exactly.
correct?
And
the naturalist and contemporary, a little bit younger than Darwin.
That's right.
And so these, and what I found was really interesting about this story, which I didn't know, because what's the purpose of these birds? You know, I always feel bad that they collected this many birds in the first place, but the fact that they do have value. Could you explain why they are valuable to the science world?
Sure. No, it's a great question, and it's impossible to not be troubled by that.
Yes.
I mean, the British Museum has 750,000 bird skins, and these are birds that were gathered over hundreds of years.
Right.
Their guts have been removed, but they've been preserved for research. We understand evolution through natural selection by studying this collection. We know that conclusively now that mercury levels are rising in the ocean because we're able to compare the mercury concentrations in a bird from 1820 to the same species of bird gathered from the same island in 1850 and 1900.
That's amazing.
These are the deep archives of the Earth's history, and they hold answers to questions that scientists haven't even thought of yet.
Right.
And so we don't even know what answers they might yield in the coming decades or centuries, which is why it's so important that they're preserved.
And because of that heist, much of that data will be lost forever.
That's right.
Which is such a crime. And he got away with this, really. So, and that maddened you, didn't it? Quite a bit.
It did. It's a very, without giving away the book, hope people have to read the book to see how he got away with it.
I hope I didn't give it away.
No, you didn't. Okay. You didn't at all. But,
sorry.
But no, I have a tendency, I get so excited about the story,
yes.
I have a tendency, my publisher always yells at me to I give away everything. But no, he never spent a night behind bars. He was given a small fine and basically sent on his way. And but in the courtroom, the museum described this as a catastrophic theft from humanity. And so when I discovered the story and realized that no one was even looking for the missing birds, I felt that there was a wrong here that maybe I could try to right, even if I could find some of the birds and get them returned to the museum. Maybe that would be some small way of bringing justice about.
And you did help with that, I'm sure. So
yeah.
Be sure and pick up your copy of The Feather Thief by Kirk Wallace Johnson. And thank you so much for joining me on Art Beat, where I'm keeping my eye on Sun Valley for you.
I have traumatic brain injury from explosions and 500-pound bombs, and there's absolutely nothing that worked for me for the 7 years I went to the VA. This would be the thing to do rather than going to the VA. I can guarantee you that. Not a question in my mind. I mean, I could skip all of that and come in here and jump into there and be much better off than anything that I received at the VA. I would recommend that for everybody that's been in combat.
Gabriel is my son, and he has lymphedema in both of his legs. Gabriel couldn't ski because his feet are so swollen that he couldn't fit into the boots, and Higher Ground got him into skis and got him skiing on the mountain and stuff.
I have no vision in my left eye and very little in my right, so I came to Higher Ground because of that. I ski, and I love it.
Karen Bosick with Ion Sun Valley. Those brave men and women and one child you see behind me are heroes today, at least if you have gills. The reason being, they're members of the Hemingway chapter of Trout Unlimited here in Sun Valley, and they're here to rescue fish.
Hello, my name is John Fennell, and I'm a member of the Hemingway chapter of Trout Unlimited, your local club. And as a club, we have a project. That project is to save trout that would be killed when the canal's closed. In this valley, the canal behind us, is open to the river all summer, and thousands of fish go down this canal. One day, the canal company closes those gates right over there, and the water is turned off. Within a week or two, every fish will die. As a club, we realize this, and we put together a program. We come with nets, and we capture the fish in nets. We put them in buckets, and we haul them back up and put them in the river so they'll all survive. It's a simple process. Last year, we saved over 8,000 trout. In the last 10 years, at least 50,000 trout. We don't get all the trout. We don't get even a large percentage. But it's a program that brings lots of people out, all sorts of people help, and it really helps everybody connect with nature in this valley. It got started when Carl Evenson realized that these trout were dying and he might be able to do something about it. And he and I and Ed Northern got together with some plastic buckets in my pickup truck and Carl Evenson's cooler. And we'd go down and net them out, and we'd put them in the cooler, and we'd drive like crazy to the river before they ran out of oxygen and dump them in. It was a little more complicated than that, but that was about it. And we have evolved to the point that we have a trailer with a 330-gallon tank that has oxygen that's supplied to it just like Fish and Game does. And we're able to take the fish out of the water, put them in the tank, and preserve them as long as possible until we have an opportunity to safely get them back to the river.
Tell me about the young children.
Well, the program was started to save the trout. And we realized right away how enthusiastic people, how much fun they were having coming down and helping. If you look here today, if you worked here today, you know these people have not done it before, many of them, and they're having a great time and they're very enthusiastic. So we have decided that it's an excellent opportunity to get people into their environment. Most people in this valley know the value of the river and the streams around it. That's why they moved here. Some are new and they don't understand it as well. But with this project, everyone gets in the water and they literally get their hands on those fish. They get their hands on their environment. And I think it really helps educate people and reaffirm what they know about the importance of the environment to the life we live here in the Wood River Valley.
When we first started, we were putting the fish into ice chests, and with bubblers, air bubblers, and then running them back to the river. and that's when we ended up getting the fish tank. And so it's been fun to progress, and we've had some really good successes, and some years where we haven't had some success, as good of success. A lot of it's determined upon the water flow, the canal companies. In the past, we had some issues working with the canal companies where we weren't getting notified in time, and so the water wasn't getting shut off. And as you can see today, it's a real time-restricted thing. If we get here 2 days later, on some sections of the river down below, the fish are dead. And then if they don't shut the water off when they want it, they say they were going to, and we have to turn volunteers away, then maybe we're not able to get enough volunteers back up. But fortunately, we have a good group of people, and they respond pretty well. Some of the most fun are with the kids, get kids out here and youth, and get them in there. And it's just great to see their faces when they see this net full of fish come up. They can't imagine that there's that many. And of course, the muddier the water gets, the more fish you can catch, because the fish they don't know you're there, so it's unclear. And so it makes it, a lot of times the first couple of passes aren't that successful. As the water muddies up, it becomes more successful. Last year we had some really good, a real good rescue down here. One day we got almost 3,000 fish, and a lot of nice fish. And so it's just very rewarding to be able to get those fish back into the river, where they have a chance to grow and to be part of the habitat and part of the system. And over the years, Idaho Fish and Game and the District 45 Canal Company have really become partners, not just, you have to do this, but really working with us to help and to assist us. One of the big things they've allowed us to do is, because we've had so much experience doing this initially with them, is they allow us to do the rescues without them being present. Originally, they needed to be present. And that created problems because it always takes place in the fall. Well, they're all out doing hunting. They have to be doing all the hunting, and there just simply isn't enough resources to go around. So that's why, their trust in us, and then I keep a record and make a report and then give it to them of the places we've rescued, and then they can count our volunteer numbers for them as well. So I keep a record of the numbers of volunteers and of the numbers of fish and the locations where we got the fish from. So that's good. Well, we rescue in the District 45 Canal here. We've rescued below where the canal comes off below the diversion, the Glendale diversion. And we haven't done it in a number of years, but Kevin Lakey used to get us access to some property down there, and that shuts off at a different time, and we were able to rescue down there. We rescued some fish out of one of the ponds up in Sun Valley. We rescued fish down at the Hiawatha Canal one year when they ended up getting some fish trapped down there. And we helped with the Heart Rock Ranch. We did rescue down there because they were doing the whole restoration project, so we went down there. When the Purdy's and the Double R Ranch and the Nature Conservancy were doing the big restoration project down there, we got volunteers and we came down, and Fish and Game was really involved with that, but we used our fish rescue tank and we collected the fish that we were electroshocking out of there and then moving them from the big pond off of Purdy's property there down in below where the dam was in Silver Creek. So we've done that, and then we did one other private pond over here, which we did because they said they would make a big donation to our chapter, and so that would help resources, but we didn't put them in the river because they were in a private pond. We took them up to the Valley Golf Course, and we placed the fish in there. So normally we don't, but and we don't just go out and do a private pond.
Local news from beautiful Sun Valley, Idaho.